Canadian Tire is donating $300,000 worth of sporting equipment to military bases across Canada. The goal? To help military families living on a base remain healthy and active. I'm standing here with Winnipegger Mark Stone, right winger for the Ottawa Senators. Mark, what's the biggest takeaway for you from a day like this?
Oh, it's just special for us to come and visit these guys. The amount of work that they put in kind of goes unnoticed by a lot of people in our country, but being a professional hockey player and just understanding how fortunate I am, a lot of it has to do with the guys that work here and the men and women that serve our country.
When you were growing up, obviously you're a hockey player, but what other things did you do to stay active?
Well, I think I just played a lot of different sports. I think as a kid you just wanted to do everything. And, you know, I met a lot of good people in the world of sport. Most of my friends to the day I met them through hockey, lacrosse, soccer, all the different sports. So I think it's important for not only kids but everybody just to continue to play sports and not just staying active but meeting new people and meeting new friends.
There's a special kinship between hockey players and soldiers, mutual respect and admiration. TSN broadcaster Gord Miller and Los Angeles Kings defenseman Luke Shen both have traveled to Afghanistan to visit our Canadian Armed Forces.
Until you get over there and see the day-to-day things and what they go through and how much they sacrifice for us, that's kind of, you know, a real eye-opening experience. So there's a lot of great memories, met a lot of great people over there. It was quite the experience going over to stay on Kandahar base. During the middle of July, I think the temperature was like, you know, 50 or 60 degrees Celsius, and yeah, it was about a 3 or 4 day thing. And you know, just like I said, what they sacrifice and what they go through over there gives you a much better appreciation of you know, what they put on the line for us.
Well, I think the biggest thing is that it's not just members of the military who serve, it's their families too. And so the amount they move around, the amount that they're away, has a real impact on their families. So anything we can do to try to make life on a base better for members of the forces and members of their families is really important. And I met a kid a couple of years ago at CFB Petawawa who said, you know, I only ever watch TSN. I said, well, you can watch other channels if you want. He said, no, my dad's in Afghanistan. I don't watch the news. I don't listen to the radio. I don't read the paper. It's hard to imagine an 11-year-old kid living a life like that. So if you can, you know, get him some sports equipment, and if you can get Jump Start to get him a chance to play sports, that's the least we could do.
Colonel Andy Cook has been a member of the Royal Canadian Air Force for 26 years, all of them as a pilot. Just like his father who served, commitment to his country was instilled in him at a very young age. He joined the Air Cadets at the age of 13, and he's had his uniform on ever since.
What distinguishes a military family from a normal civilian family is that on a moment's notice, the military member may be tagged to go overseas to deploy for 6, 9 months, a year, and to get a donation like Canadian Tires allows the family to feel supported from the Canadian community, and it allows them to work towards a more healthy and active lifestyle. We're trying to create Canadians who are healthy, to serve their country for 35 years and have a long, very healthy retirement. Support and community are tremendous themes that underpin every aspect of military life. And when we get a vote of support and a donation like we received today, that just underscores the commitment of the Canadian people to our military and makes it much easier to live on that base.
For Shaw TV Sports, I'm Mike Valente. This is Sports Talk on Shaw TV. A few odds and ends for you. Derek Jeter, one of the most respected players to ever play the game of baseball. He had a 20-year career with one of the most successful sports franchises in the world, the New York Yankees. Jeter retired in 2014, and recently he sat down with President Barack Obama, another man who will find himself walking away from the big stage quite soon. Listen to what Jeter did during his last season of play.
You know, I did something my final season. I kept a little diary. Every day I wrote something in there. How I was feeling after every game. I don't even know if too many people know about it. And I've yet to look back at it.
Really?
The idea was, I don't have children,
Right.
and I thought
You want to be able to show
if
them.
and when
you
I
know
had
what?
kids.
That actually has some game.
Yes. So it's sort of like my dad's scrapbook he
Yeah.
had. Now I have photos.
It's a little bigger.
So yeah, but I wish I would have done that throughout my entire career because there's so many experiences you have that you tend to forget.
Yeah.
So if I could go back to 25, I would say do it every day.
Life is about experiences, right? That is so cool that Jeter spent every day that last season writing about what he was going through, all the different emotions, each and every day, just getting that much closer to retirement. And whether you're a professional athlete or just some person like me, it's a pretty cathartic experience to document how you are feeling at a certain moment of time, right? At a particular place in your life. It relieves you in a way. Now, can you imagine if PK Subban did the same thing after everything that just happened in Montreal? I'd read that book. Biggest hockey trade in years, a blockbuster for the NHL. And I know Subban has done some interviews already and has opened up a little bit about what happened in Montreal, but it is so incredibly puzzling to me that a man with such poise and class and professionalism off the ice, at least in front of the media and his fans, can be such a different personality inside the dressing room. Because that really must have been the reason that Marc Bergevin shipped the guy out of Montreal. The city was completely in love with this man. He did a ridiculous amount of charity work in the community that has obviously been well documented at this point. It would have had to have been so bad in that dressing room for this to happen. And even with Shea Weber coming back the other way, what a tough pill to swallow, I think, if you're a Habs fan. This guy was going to be a legend in that city, but what can you do? It's done. PK Subban is a Nashville Predator, and I think he's embracing Smashville.
Hey, do we have any hockey fans in here? Let me introduce you, Predators' brand new player, PK Subban. Where is he at? Right here. Come on, give it up for him. He has already promised me he's bringing the Stanley Cup to Nashville.
That's the plan. Nashville, baby. I see the train a coming. It's rolling around the bend. I ain't seen the sunshine since I don't know when. I'm selling and Kentucky dragging I hear that roof home.
Next up, Phil Kessel. Oh my goodness, what a difference a year makes. Kessel is a Stanley Cup champion with the Pittsburgh Penguins. And when news came out that he was going to spend his day with the Stanley Cup in Toronto, home of the Maple Leafs, home of his former team, I mean, speaking of franchise players, Phil Kessel was the Maple Leafs' best player for 6 seasons. He was always top 5 in the league in scoring during that time too, and never really got the respect he deserved in Toronto, which also really puzzles me. I don't know what else you could ask for. The problem with Kessel in Toronto was that because he was the team's best player, he was expected to carry the team on his back. And that was incredibly unfair of the Toronto media to put that on him, and really unfair of some Maple Leafs fans who felt that way. And let's face it, the Leafs did not have the pieces around Kessel to make any kind of successful run. The Leafs also didn't have any real leadership in the dressing room, which is why I think Kessel was picked on a lot of the time. So it was a bad situation, and the Leafs traded him. But they traded him to a team that was captained by Sidney Crosby. There are worse places you can go. So I was really happy for Phil, and he was an integral part of that playoff run for the Penguins. Here he is at Sick Kids Hospital in Toronto, one of the stops he decided to make during his day with the Stanley Cup, and it was such a classy move. Now, if we bring it back here to Winnipeg, Blue Bombers fans want Andrew Harris, the hometown kid, to finally bring back a Grey Cup to the 204. I sat down with Andrew earlier this week. Take a look. Andrew, you're now playing professional football in your hometown. I'm curious as to what that means to you, and when you actually did sign on the dotted line, what emotions came your way?
Well, it just puts the statement of it's more than football to me. You know, it's my friends and family are here every game. You know, it's always a crazy environment every time I've played here when I was playing with BC, and now it's just you know, playing here. It's just a real feeling. Well, obviously my daughter thinks it's amazing. She always calls me famous now and stuff. So, you know, that part's really cool. But at the end of the day, you know, I just got to go out there and perform and do my best. And, you know, when I first signed, you know, there's definitely a lot of emotions, a lot of excitement, a lot of nerves, a lot of pressure. But, you know, it's been going good so far. Obviously, the result in the field hasn't been what it needs to be yet. But, you know, I think we got the right guys in this locker room, and it's going to turn soon.
So back in 2011, you were a member of the BC Lions. That team got out to an 0-5 start. But that's not the biggest thing people remember from that season. You guys had a complete turnaround and went on to win the Grey Cup. How much does that Grey Cup winning experience really help you be a leader on this team? Is that something you feel every day, that you have a cup under your belt?
Well, having the cup is one thing. You know, the adversity that, you know, I went through to get there is a whole nother. You know, again, you know, we were at the worst. You know, we made some changes, you know, shuffled the lineup a little bit, and we started rolling. And, you know, in a sense, with injuries and the things we've changed, you know, all it takes is just to ruffle some feathers sometimes and, you know, get people a little uncomfortable. And then, you know, people start playing a bit differently and play with a little more intensity and a little more passion. And, you know, ultimately that's what you need to be a championship team.
So who inspired you? Like, who are your biggest influences growing up, like in sports and just in life?
Well, as far as in that Grey Cup team, a guy like Leroy Simon was a big influence. You know, a guy that's, you know, had no quit. You know, he's been around the league for so long and seen it all. So even in the Grey Cup game, you know, Winnipeg was stopping me in the run game so much, and he said, just be patient. And literally like 2 series later, and I was running up the middle for, you know, a 20-yard touchdown. So, you know, it just shows you what persistence and staying relentless really means to this game, and just having patience.
How would you describe your teammates in the locker room? There are a lot of characters on this team. Like, who makes you laugh the hardest?
There's a handful of guys that are pretty funny. There's so many different walks of life and guys that come from all different places, and, you know, everyone's got their little quirks and things about them. But you know, guys that I've really kind of drawn to has been Chad Rempel and Sam Hurl. You know, Dresser's he's kind of quiet, but he'll just come over and say some funny things to you out of nowhere. So yeah. There's quite a few guys that are just really funny. Stanley Bryant's hilarious too. He's got everything about him is sarcastic. You don't know ever if he's ever telling the truth or being serious or what the matter may be. But yeah, there's honestly everyone on this team I can vibe with and, you know, have some sort of relationship with already, and it's so early on still. So obviously that's going to grow, and that family aspect, that brotherhood is going to be that much better, and, you know, that's what makes teams even better.
Do you ever have a moment during a game when you're on the sidelines and you're like, man, I wish I could get a drink at the Rum Hut right now?
Yeah, you know what, it's funny actually. I actually thought of that one time. I wish I could be playing the game and watching and partying at the same time.
That's right.
If I could have like a clone or something and still have that same feeling. That'd be kind of cool to experience, yeah. You know, even the beer snake and all the great things about playing in Winnipeg and being in the stands.
Can you share with us the story why you wear number 33?
Yeah, just you know, briefly, I met my fullback in 2006. He came out from Calgary, and we just instantly bonded. We were good friends right away. We became really close. And in 2007, we were both kind of figuring out what we were doing in life. He was going to go back and work on the rigs to basically support his family, and I was thinking about going to school to move on to go to CIS, but I found out that I was having a baby as well. So yeah. we both went through fatherhood around the same time in 2008. His daughter was born on January 1st. Mine was on the 15th. Wow. And then that year in September, he passed away in a car accident. So I used to wear number 20 my whole career since high school through junior. And Aaron was such a passionate guy. You know, he came through so much stuff in his earlier years, through adversity, through, you know, he was addicted to drugs and, you know, kind of going down the wrong path. And he was completely sober for a number of years. And one of those guys who, even at a party or an event, you would think that he would be like wasted, but he was just having so much fun all the time and just such a big life of the party. Right. Great guy. Yeah. So when he passed away, I donned 33, and that year we went on a run, and I was just coming off an injury, and I think I had like 1,200 yards in like 4 games, and then in the playoffs, you know, we went on, and I was just a man amongst boys, and really just that number stuck with me, and playing with that number really meant a lot to me. Right.
You mentioned you have a daughter. What's a guy like you do for fun in the off season? Like what are some of the things that you can just kind of kick back and...
Yeah, well, spending tons of time with her, obviously. I like to travel a lot, and then my biggest pastime is probably playing hockey. I like to play ice hockey still. Oh, nice. Playing like little leagues around the city here, and I also like to snowmobile quite a bit too as well. So those are my pastimes, and you know, you don't get the luxury of having the summers and stuff, but unless I'm traveling to a hot place, and you can either catch me on a snowmobile or on ice playing hockey.
You're happy in Winnipeg, and this will always be home, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah, I was kind of leaning towards moving my life up to Vancouver and settling down there. I started some businesses out there in the last 2 years, but now that I'm back here, I really just realized how much I missed Winnipeg and how this is really home for me and just all the things that the people are the biggest thing here. The people are so great here, so warm and welcoming, and people are just they're good people here. So it's hard to shy away from that and want to move anywhere else.
Appreciate your time, Andrew.
Awesome,
Thanks
thank you.
for doing this.
Thanks.